Hello my fellow pilots and welcome again to another episode of Star Citizen FM. This is the 71st episode of Star Citizen FM, the longest running fan show in the verse determined to bring you up-to-date information on Star Citizen, the community, and anything else in the verse that might catch your fancy. Star Citizen FM is hosted by yours truly, Dr. Hawk. So join me on this very special episode as we go over some of the past happenings in CIG and go over some brand new equipment and the plans for Star Citizen FM in the future. So, of course, to get the big thing out of the way first, we now have a webcam. Star Citizen FM can now go forwards with some live video production. You guys can finally get to see my face and I can bring a little bit more of a human touch to this show, and for those of you who have your illusions shattered, sorry, no, I am not a Dr. Hawk or any sort of avian creature. I would like to actually take a moment to say a big thank you to my Patreon backers. This was actually partly due to you guys. I used the money from the last month's Patreon and put it forward to get the, a Microsoft LifeCam Studio, which is both good and bad. I had some initial problems trying to set up the Blue Yeti and get it to work with the camera. There was some interfighting going on between the two, but eventually figured out how to get it work. And in the future, I would love to get a green screen and maybe a little bit more special effects so that you're not just seeing my boring background full of Canadian boxes. They're not filled with maple syrup or Canadian bacon, by the way, so sorry to ruin your expectations. As for Star Citizen, we have a few things to go over this week. We have DragonCon coming up and a few other events that CIG is going to be at, so we're going to cover a little bit of that. There's been some fan spotlights, so for those of you that are really good at your audio production, I'm going to be showing some of your guys' music today and your hard work. And then finally, we've also had another letter from the chairman. We've reached another stretch goal, unsurprisingly. And then there's a few other tidbits, such as some fiction that's come out, etc. And then there will be some other announcements I have later on regarding the show. So let's move on to our first topic of today's episode. So the first major topic that we're going to be talking about is actually the letter from the chairman. Over the weekend, Cloud Imperium Games has smashed yet another pledge goal, being the $52 million in pledge funding. There's a few things to follow up with this. Chris also goes on to say that they're now partnering with AMD to provide a new starter ship, which is the Mustang that should be pictured right now. It's going to be a new racing ship that we can use in the racing module or in the persistent universe if you so choose. And instead of the AMD logo being representing AMD itself, it's going to be called the Accelerated Mass Design. I don't know if it's a company or a corporation, to keep in line with the immersion of the Star Citizen universe. So keep an eye out for your very own AMD Mustang racer. But at the moment, the big focus now is that we've reached the $52 million stretch goal, so everybody gets a jetpack. So again, the BB-12 is a brand new manned maneuvering unit from Azure Sky Aero. Whether you are engaging in precision mining operations or delicate salvage retrieval, the BB-12 is capable of EVA operation for 6 uninterrupted hours. This new model features 24 precision nozzle thrusters and 2 redesigned heavy-duty tanks of gaseous nitrogen propellant, capable of being hot-swapped while on the drift or refueled back on the ship. With the BB-12, Azure Sky has once again cemented their place as the premier EVA tech provider. So everybody gets a jetpack. We can now practice our very own shipboarding maneuvers or whatever have you. The next stretch goal that we have in line is the more detailed AI activities. So we will add 10 distinct types of AI character roles on planet-side environments. At $54 million, this includes bartender, doctor, entertainer, nurse, sanitation worker, security guard, shopper, tourist, vagrant, and vandal. I keep thinking that's the actual aliens running around. Future AI roles will be added with future stretch goals. Each additional class of character will be fully expressive and have a role to play in Star Citizen's planet-side interaction and the game's greater economy. So, while they can't wait for that kind of pledge to come, we now have the jetpacks to meddle about with, and if you're interested in seeing your very own AI modules, keep pledging, and who knows, maybe we will have our very own Vandal AI. Going back to what Chris was saying, however, in regards to the AMD Mustang, again, there should be a picture showing right now. I wanted to go over this thing. It actually looks really nice and fun to play with, and this is addressing some of my concerns earlier where I thought there would only be 1 or 2 efficient fighters or ships available for racing. The last thing I want to see is the M50 being the be-all end-all racer for speed, and then the 350R being the be-all end-all for endurance racing. Having some variety in there is going to make racing a little bit more interesting, and we could have some really cool customizable options available for those racers who really want to get every little bit of power out of their ship that they can. And looking at some of the livery that's on this Mustang, I know they've said before that decals, can't say that correctly, liveries are something that's in the works. If they can figure it out, having your very own custom livery, something similar to a Forza Motorsport, is something that I really want. So let's hope that they figure that out, and in the meantime, let's move on to the addressing of patch 0.9. So as of course everybody is excited for patch 09, this is going to be the introduction of the racing module. So for those of you who are excited to get in your ship and not just blast things away and race around in space and pretend you are, I don't know, Ricky Bobby from that stupid racing movie, you can pretend you're Ricky Bobby in the 2944 Murray Cup racing module. They're also calling it New Horizons, so you'll be able to fly that among with your other friends in the game type when it comes out. I know other things that they're trying to include are the implementation of private matches and the option to select multiple control schemes. So more control customization will arrive in another patch shortly after this one. That's been a big thing because right now the only way to customize your controls has been through config files and going into the Star Citizen files themselves. And if you haven't saved your configs previously, every patch has wiped those. I had to learn the hard way to save my configs, otherwise a patch would wipe out everything that I had set up. So those are some of the features you can look forward to. There's also going to be friend codes, as well as so the friend codes, you're now able to group up with people that you'd like to play with. This will be handy as I plan to do a flight school sort of show for Star Citizen FM to help pilots get their bearings and find out what's effective, what's not effective, where their flying styles may be giving them some problems, etc. The big blocker right now, the reason that we don't have patch 09 out, is the fact that the leaderboards seems to be clogging something up. There are all major issues we want, and these are all major issues we want and expect to resolve shortly. The most major blocker bug, as discussed in the Gamescom presentation, is the introduction of the new leaderboard system to this build. The leaderboards are going to be for all modes in Arena Commander, including the recently added Vandal Swarm Co-op. It's going to be fun, and Murray Cup Racing. Racing without placement scores isn't much fun. From a technical standpoint, leaderboards are a big deal. They're the first time the game will be consistently passing significant amounts of data between the client, what you download and play, and the platform, the website of things. Even if you aren't looking forward to comparing scores with your friends, getting the back end of Star Citizen to talk to the back end of the Star Citizen website is a big deal. What we're hooking up today is going to allow features like the Galactopedia, interactive star map, and the Star Citizen mobile app to communicate with the game. Our goal with Star Citizen is to build a universe with a highly connected community at its core and leaderboards, along with the stack tracking and back-end infrastructure that allow for leaderboards. Allowing backers to get the first taste of a larger persistence in the verse is something we feel is very important. We know that it's disappointing that we're not quite ready to share our progress with the community, but today's build is just not yet in a state where it achieves our vision. We'll be working with the globe through the holiday weekend to deliver on the promise of 09. And for those interested in the process, we'll be providing continued updates in the coming week on the status of the release. The entire Star Citizen team will be working as hard as possible to make sure you're racing ships and taking on the Vandal together soon. Now, I think I have said in the past that CIG does have a history of oops, and it's to be expected with this sort of open development process. Not everything is going to work on the get-go. So, for those of you who I do see kind of shouting on the forums right now, just sit back, relax, take a deep breath, find a glass of scotch, and just wait until 0.09 comes out, because even right now, as I've mentioned, I've had a little bit of Arena Commander burnout, and everybody wants the racing module. But give them some time, and great things are sure to happen. So, with that being out of the way, keep an eye out for point 9, and let's move on to the other 2 topics for today's show. So, for those of you that are able to afford it and are going to either DragonCon or PAX Prime, keep an eye out for CIG. They're going to be at both events, so if any of you are taking lots of video camera footage and are checking it out over at PAX Prime or DragonCon, be sure to say hi to CIG. They have some panels set up as well as a Vandal Swarm tournament. There's a few other events that you can find on the Comlink page, which I'll be linking in the description below. And if you're interested in sharing some of the footage, once you've been there, had some fun, come to me, I'll post it, and we'll show your good times. The other thing I wanted to go over is that they had a cool fan spotlight. Some of the fans have been putting together Star Citizen music. So if you'd like to check out some of the music that some citizens have been hard at work on, you can check out Shiver Salone, Anthony Locke, if my mouse would work, Playing with Andy, Carl Brecken, and that would be all of them. Check it out. CIG has featured some of their music on the front page. Some of them have done a really good job at it, and it would be interesting to see if CIG incorporates some of the fan creations for the music later in the game. That being said, that's pretty much all I have for Star Citizen FM this week. So, that is pretty much all I have for Star Citizen FM episode 71. I know this was a little bit of a hybrid episode. I'm not actually used to recording myself, so I apologize in advance for any stutters, likes, or any of the things that I have said. I'm still trying to work on my confidence being in, see, there you go, in front of a camera. Give it some time and some money, and I'll try to get a green screen going and make this a little bit more bearable to watch. But I think this is a good idea so far because it'll help me emote and get my point across much better with you guys, as opposed to just hiding myself behind a screen, because that's not fun for anyone. So Star Citizen FM will continue on in this fashion. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed my show, please do click the subscribe button on the upper left hand corner. There's a button right there, and there also should be a little fuzzy hawk on the lower left hand corner that you can click on if you'd like to subscribe. I can be found on a few other places. I have a Twitter account at lgdrhawk, at gmail, lgdrhawk, which you can check some of my tweets for when I'm streaming. As such, I'm also on Twitch, so if you'd like to tune in for some of my Twitch streams when I'm playing Arena Commander or Metro or soon to be Destiny and now Elite Dangerous, you can check that out. You can find me on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook page. You can come and like the page, check out what some of the posts and things that I'm doing. And then finally, of course, a big thank you to my Patreon backers who have helped me thus far. If you think or want to help me with Star Citizen FM, you can do so at patreon.com. It's not mandatory, so even if you only give $1 per month, that is completely acceptable, and I thank you for it. Just your guys' support so far has helped with the camera, so thank you very much for that. And if you think it's worth chipping in, please do donate to the Patreon backer page. Become a hawk. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning into Star Citizen FM episode 71. This is Dr. Hawk signing off. I'll see you all next time. You all take care, fly safe, and try not to fly like I do in the following Elite Dangerous clip. Take care, guys.
Can't control my throttle for some reason.
You gotta throttle it.
Just press eject. Just press eject. Press Alt F4. It'll make you go faster.
Radar?
Displaying radar.
Oh, that's why.
Are you a submarine in disguise?
Hey, there's another
Wait,
ship.
we had that conversation. Space submarine.
Space submarine.
No! No! I'm thrusting into the station! Ah!
Did you blow
That
up?
can be taken out of context.
Fuck. Oh my
Did you crash into the station?
Yes, I did.
Are you alive?
Oh my
still?
god. If you can
Oh
get
god. I see it on
Oh.
the stream now.
Oh my
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hawk. Thank you and good night.
You know, it's
I love how it gives you a little notification. If you didn't notice,
Your
your
tree-
ship
your-
has been destroyed. Thank you so much.
I also like how
didn't
it's
know,
telling
but
you,
now I do. Thank you.
it was more worried that I was trespassing than the fact I was careening into the station out of control. Oh my god, I'm crying. I am sorry, viewers, that I can't seem to fly a ship properly.